Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Town of Grizzle Board of Finance to order January 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room. First item on the agenda, roll call to order.
Have all members present.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we move on the agenda items 4C executive session and 4D discussion to a new section 7.1 after 7 public forum.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion? We're now going to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, public forum. Does anyone wish to speak? Item 3, approval of minutes. December 17th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have to abstain. I wasn't here for the last week.
Okay. All right, new business, Finance Director's monthly report.
All right, I included the revenue and expenditure reports for the current fiscal year, as well as the updated fund balance analysis. Revenue reported to date, we're at $24,326,954.49. That is 57.50% of budgeted revenue. Right now, no major concerns. We have some that are going to be under, some that are going to be over, but it should pretty much come out as a wash. In the end, I think we're going to be right around where we projected to be for revenues. Expenditures recorded to date, we're at $25,038,515.16. That is 59.18% of budgeted expenditures. No major concerns at this point. There's still only 3 items currently over budget, no new items. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Same with revenues. Some are going to be over, some are under, but most of the overages will be covered within each department. So I don't have any major concerns at this point. I think we'll be in pretty good shape. As far as fund balance, right now I'm projecting at the end of the year to be right around 20.19%. That's right around where it's been projected. Hasn't been much change with the projections, so I think we're going to be in good shape. If anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Just a clarification on 4011, the tax refunds.
Yep.
100%. 36,000.
Yep.
What's that? Could you explain?
What that is sometimes what can happen. A lot of it is with changes that are done through the assessor's office, so they get a refund of the taxes that they overpaid. Sometimes it's an example of someone will send in their mortgage, their tax payment, property tax payment, not knowing that the mortgage company also sent it in. So then we refund the taxpayer what they paid because it was double paid. So it's anything that's been overpaid on property taxes that's refunded. So in the end, that really washes out with the current tax line item.
And longevity, 5115.
Yep.
And what is that?
Longevity is if you've been here at least 5 years, you get a longevity bonus
So
in
we're
November.
under
What department are you looking at?
5115.
That's a line item. What department?
No, I'm not looking at, I just looked at this, I'm asking for an explanation of why it's under that. I'm looking at this.
That is what we talked about with the town clerk. The town clerk, we weren't sure when she was gonna be retiring. So we only put in $1 as a placeholder. So she stayed through almost through November, so she got the longevity payment. But we also were without a town clerk for a week, so we're just gonna, when we do transfers, transfer from the salary line item.
Was that wasn't budgeted?
No, because at the time we put the budget together, we didn't think she was gonna stay until after the election. She was
So-
originally planning on leaving July
Transferring that from somewhere.
from the salary line. There's town clerk salary.
Also.
Eric, unassigned fund balance 630-24 projected. I'm going to guess that's because obviously we need to wait until the audit is complete for that
Correct.
final number. What's that? Okay, 4B, discussion and possible action on setting budget meeting dates.
So I put with your packet a schedule, last year's schedule and proposed schedule for this year, kind of based on what we did last year. The dates available for presentations, those are dates that this main meeting room is open. There are other dates we could meet if you wanted to go to the senior center, but I figured to make it easier, see what's available to this room, but those are just dates that this room was available. All the other ones were kind of in line with when we had the public hearing last year, when we had the town meeting and when we had the referendum. So I just wanted to kind of put these dates out there to get some feedback on what you guys wanted to do.
So if I'm reading this correctly, we didn't meet in February at all last year.
Right, started March 5th.
Yeah.
A big gone for 1 week in April. Can't.
Dawn, when did you anticipate having your budget finalized? Were we able to get a copy?
We're anticipating February 13th and having a copy to you February 14th.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay. I would like to, when we establish the schedule, put the Board of Ed presentation towards the front of the schedule as opposed to the back of the schedule. There's a lot of substance there. So I think that, it would be nice to have, quite a bit of extra time to be able to digest it and then come back and be able to ask some follow-up questions rather than get it at the tail end and then just go right into, making cuts. So how does the 24th look for everyone? Let's just kind of dive in.
I can do the 24th. I can't do the 27th.
24th work for everyone?
Yeah, February 24th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. About March 3rd.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, we have our regular meeting on the 18th. March 24th.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay, how about the 27th?
Yes.
Mhm.
How about the 31st?
Yes.
Okay. The 1st of April?
Yes.
I won't be available the 1st of April.
Okay, take that off the list. The 7th of April?
We're going from April 5th. I come back April 11th.
Okay. We'll take that off the list. And we have April 10th.
Yes. He'll be gone.
You'll be gone?
No, he'll be gone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you just said that, didn't you? Okay. Um. How about the 15th? Does that work for everyone for budget adjustments?
Tax day, yeah.
That's our regular meeting.
Oh, you know what?
It's a
The
regular
15th will. That is a regular meeting, and I won't be here for, I will not be here for the regular meeting, unfortunately. I am gonna be out of town. So do we have any? I would like to, I'd like to try to establish. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got six dates for budget presentations. The 24th, the 3rd, the 18th, the 24th, the 27th, the 31st. Do we normally need, will we need 6 meetings for presentations?
No, it's typically 3 or 4.
3 or 4, right? So, in April, Gary, you were going from, what'd you say, the 5th to the 11th?
The 5th to the 11th.
All right, and I'm going the 14th through the 16th.
Well, Scott,
Yes,
if we went the 3rd, the 18th, the 24th and the 27th,
yep,
we could get the budget done and then you could even do the adjustments on the 31st if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
that's a good idea.
And then we
Okay.
can,
okay.
how everyone's available.
So the 3rd, March 3rd, March 18th, March 24th, March 27th. And then we'll do a workshop to craft a final budget final budget for public hearing on the
Yep.
31st. Does that work for everyone?
Then you're scrapping the 24th then? That's what you saying?
Right.
We could scrap the
February,
24th, yes. Yep.
Just send us an update.
So then
Yeah,
I
and
would,
I'll send these dates out to
Yep.
department heads and line everything up.
okay, so then I would like to see the Board of Ed present on the 3rd.
Take it away.
That would work. Okay, perfect. Okay. We need a motion on that, Eric? Set those?
No,
No, okay,
we'll finalize it at the next meeting and I'll have all the departments lined up.
okay,
I just wanted to get dates so I can arrange with them.
I just question whether it's wise for us to scrap February 24th in the event that one of the groups can't fit into the other dates, if we just leave it open for them to, as an option.
Well, I can check with them.
You know, preferably, but, you know, have it there.
start on the 24th, and then if we have to, we can eliminate like the 27th or the 31st if of March, if we get to the point where we're complete. I'm okay with that. Everybody else?
Yep.
Okay.
Also, if we're talking about adjustments on the 31st, potentially, maybe that's the time, or maybe on the 27th to address any questions that we have for the Board of Ed, to give them a few days to
Yeah.
get back to us.
I would love to, let's have our questions, I like that, Gail, let's have our questions no later than the 24th.
Okay,
Because I would like to start perhaps doing budget adjustments on the 27th.
okay,
And then depending on how successful we are, we're either done on the 27th or we come back on the 31st to finalize those adjustments.
Since the Board of Ed is gonna be done by the 24th, should we schedule them? If they're available for the 24th of February, if not, be too early?
So we'll have that packet on the 14th. Does everyone think they're gonna have enough time between February 14th and the 24th to get through that?
And they-
Yeah. Okay, I'm good. I'm just
Yeah.
want to make sure everybody else is okay.
Yep.
Okay, Sean, what is your availability for really Sean and Deb probably. What's your availability on the 24th of February? It's a Monday. Okay.
So the February 24th is back on.
Yes. And then we'll use those last two dates for
Mhm.
crafting a final and maybe eliminate the 31st if we can.
Are we gonna keep April 15th?
What's that?
Are we gonna keep our regular meeting, or are we gonna move that in April?
No, I don't see why you can't keep that. I'm just not going to be able to be here, but
I just didn't know if there was anything that needed to be addressed that we didn't cover up to that point. I guess we can address it then.
you probably have budget transfers on the 15th, I'm gonna guess. Quarterly transfers,
Possibly.
possibly.
I could do them in March.
Okay.
Do
Okay,
you want to, Scott, do you want to look at when you want to finalize the budget too? I put 3 dates there. You may need 2, who knows?
so, yeah, April 30th. Does everybody look like for April 30th?
It's fine.
Okay, and how about May 5th? We'll come up with a,
Cinco de Mayo.
backup date. It is Cinco de Mayo, so
Sure.
5th will work for everyone, or do you
Yeah.
want to make it the 6th instead? I'm okay with that. I mean,
It's fine.
okay. Okay, so we'll go with the 30th and the 5th, if we need both dates.
You need a motion for these dates?
No, I'm gonna,
We'll
at the
approve
next
them next
meeting, I'm
time.
gonna put a
Okay,
calendar
right.
together.
Okay, so just to rehash, we have February 24th, March 3rd, March 18th, March 24th, March 27th, March 31st. And then we have April 30th and May 5th.
Scott, are we gonna keep these at 6 o'clock or what is the time?
And 4/29 for the public hearing, right?
4/29 for the public hearing, yes. Does that fit work for everyone? Thank you, Gail. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with 6 o'clock.
I like
If 6
6
will work
o'clock
for everyone.
Didn't we move it to 6 last year? Didn't we?
Well, for our regular meetings, we did.
Oh, okay, you mean for all?
Yeah. I'm good with 6 for
Yep,
all of
6
it. I
is
think it's,
good.
okay,
Get it done.
okay, perfect. Anything else? All right, then, we're gonna move on to item 5, old business, 5A, update and discussion on bonding projects.
Not a lot going on right now with the weather, but the only thing I had to report, which is good news, we actually received a change order on the sewer project to reduce the cost by about $74,000. There were some things that were in the bid that they didn't have to do or do as much of, so we did get a change order reducing the price. So that's good news. Other than that, not much going on until springtime.
All set? Okay,
Yep.
then we'll move on to 5B, update from Recreation Budget Subcommittee.
Mr. Chairman, Tom Pulaski has been spearheading this, so he's gonna present sort of our conclusions and where we're heading.
Thanks, Tom.
Well, um, Gail and I have had several meetings with Ryan to discuss his request to kind of redo how he currently does budgets and controls expenses. And, well, because that youth services has income, there are expenses, but there might be items where some of the expenses are, the income on certain items are more than the expenses, so there's money left over. So he was requesting the freedom to make adjustments and come up with new programs using that money if there is an excess. After discussions between the three of us, we thought it would be better if he came to us with requested line item transfers from one expense to another. And we were talking about creating a miscellaneous line item or miscellaneous fund item. So that if there were additional monies left over from his expenses, we could do a line item transfer to move this into this miscellaneous account. And then it would be more apparent to us as to how, as we move along, how his department is running, whether it's running above budget or below budget, and that he would then have this money available for coming up with new ideas. And we would also recommend that he would come to the Board of Finance or come to Eric and request line item transfers so that this information could be presented to the Board of Finance and approved by the Board of Finance, instead of just Eric, instead of just Ryan doing making these decisions without any kind of oversight. Because Gail and I looked at some of his accounting spreadsheets and some of his projects, he presented that, say, example, was the 4K Hopewell. And there turned out to be some errors in that, and it turned out that he had eventually caught some errors that program would have been operating at a loss. So I think we shouldn't allow Ryan to just do all this accounting by himself, but that we should be presented to Eric, and we do before anything decisions we made that we've come to the Board of Finance to approve these line item budgets. And Gail and I were going to meet with him another time to discuss this miscellaneous account and come up with a dollar value that we believe would be appropriate to have a certain amount of money available in this miscellaneous account from the start. So that should he come up with a new idea, there would be some starting balance amount of money in that account that would enable him to then pursue his new idea.
And we probably would call it new programming or new projects. And that way, if in fact he had an old project that all of a sudden he didn't get the registration for, so he needed to cancel it because it was going to run at a loss, he could transfer that into the new projects category if then he had a better idea. Because that's really the flexibility he was looking for, to be able to sort of change the programming mid-year if he had an opportunity or a new idea. But the lack of oversight so that he could carry over funds from one project to another without really much of an explanation. Tom and I didn't feel comfortable with that, so. And I think Ryan is happy with the idea that he can have that line adjustment transfer, line item transfer, and have a new projects line item that he can go to if, if he has a really great new project that he feels is good for the town.
Question, when he says he didn't know he was, or you found out he was, proceeding with, at a loss, were we able to detect that?
He
in our-
discovered that. He did discover. that.
Yeah.
And he presented
Were we
to it.
able to detect that?
Would we be able to detect that?
Yeah, because we
This-
went through his spreadsheets and I said, well, what does this include? And it didn't include any of the salaries of the people who are gonna be assigned to the program. Because the salaries, as you know, are in a different line item. And supplies too, I think, Tom, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I said, well, for this, for this sort of cost center here, what are all the costs for the cost center, not just, some of them. And once he ran those numbers, he said, you're right, I would run at a loss. I think he was saying that a break-even point was like 20 or 30 people. But when he looked at all the expenses, the break even would have been up around 50, and he didn't have even 30 registered. So then the decision is, okay, if we're gonna run at a loss and we can't get registration up high enough, then we cancel the program. And that's what that Hopeville 5K project was, right? So,
So we have now, you have an idea how to make a check and balance on this.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those unusual departments where things are always in flux, and Eric's been telling us that for years. Give him enough flexibility to run the department, but we also need to have boundaries, so I think we're where we need to be.
Jim,
Go ahead, sir.
with this line item of miscellaneous, that would be solely for programming, not for other budget needs that he runs off on?
Yeah, and let's call it
New program.
new programming or new
Okay.
projects.
Okay, well, the
Can
new
we
program,
define-
so if he's running
Yeah.
short salary, he can't pull from there to.
Right, you're absolutely
Or
right.
supplies.
Tom had brought that up, and
just
it's only for that specific new program.
Now, would that include the salary to cover the person for that new program? Or is that covered under salaries? Cause they get a baseline salary. You see what I'm saying? So they have to put in more hours to cover this new program. Where is that gonna be coming from in their
Well-
budget?
Well, he's full-time, right? And his guy is full-time, right?
But are they salary or are they hourly?
They're hourly.
Right, so
Right.
for that,
The people that would be working at the 5K, they would be hourly, right?
right, so if that's.
All right.
Right. So obviously, if they put it in program, that's more hours. Is that part of that account, or is that taken care of under the salary?
That was probably under that program. And
Yeah, I
we've
defer
already
to
got Ryan's
Eric.
salary in a separate account.
But he also has, I'm assuming his budget is taking into account the other programs that he's running. That's where the hourly salary, if you will, is coming out of, is being budgeted also.
And remember, he has line items for his hourly people too, right?
Right.
And I think part of what Tom and I were trying to do was to encourage him to look at each program or project as a cost center. And that means that even though the hourly wages were up above at the top of the chart, to pull them down for analysis only and just to say, okay, how much does this project cost us?
Compared to the revenue.
Where do we need to be to break
I
even?
understand that, but when it comes to
That was
implement
for
that,
analysis.
if he's coming to
Right.
implement that,
Right,
where is that extra income coming from to pay for the salaries?
and And that's sort of where the line item transfer would come in. Because the line item transfer from new programming, if he needs, say that's $5,000 and he needs to transfer 2 of it up to the hourly worker line item. And he could do that. But it's still a concept. If anybody has serious concerns, raise them. We're trying to sort of split the baby here.
My only concern would have been if you say you give them $5,000 in this new program. There's no new programs, but he's running over budget in another area. That's kind of like a slush fund that they can pull from.
But if he has to come for transfers back to Eric and to the board, we get to ask those questions then. So he knows that there's gonna be oversight, that somebody's looking at it. Up till now, nobody's been looking at it.
No, I
You just
understand.
can't pull from one line item on his own.
But he should know that up front that.
He does.
He can't pull from there to cover
He
his
does.
overage somewhere else. Especially if you don't have any new programming.
I think it's a good idea that that kind of oversight is because it is when a program is put out there that he may not have the amount of people that he wanted to, so it may collapse.
Yeah.
So then he has to move the money to another program. So, and then it will come back to us, so we'll know exactly, I think we'll know exactly what's going on with the item transfers. So we'll know what programs actually are not doing well. I mean, it's kind of be us kind of looking closely more at his budget. That's what I kind of see, sounds like.
And what it does, it encourages him not to just bowl a project through, even if he doesn't have enough people in it, just hold it anyway, because he was committed to it. Here, it offers him the flexibility to say, well, it was a good idea, but it didn't work.
Yeah, and that
And-
happens a lot.
And I think that's a cost savings for us. So,
There's many programs that they have to cancel throughout lots of public areas where people, there's not enough sign up and they have to cancel it
Right.
because it's not affordable. So that, I think that you guys are doing a good job on letting us see an oversight on how that's gonna work. Sounds like it's a good start anyway.
That wasn't my concern. I just didn't want to be becoming slush fund.
but that's a really, really good point. So when Tom and I sit down, we'll make sure that we cover that.
As long as he knows, because I can picture, oh, I didn't realize I couldn't do that.
Right,
Right, to cover something.
right.
that Wouldn't have fallen, and then put us in a pickle, if you will.
Anyone else?
And Tom has I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but Tom has a printout here. And I think this whole process has been a really good process because it's forced Ryan and us to look at some of the returned revenue that comes back. I guess I wasn't aware of some of the returned revenue, so it's one of those things where it's a learning experience for everybody.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Matt.
So I think it's good. His budget is so dependent on participation. So things do change. So as far as moving the money, I think it's a great idea for oversight. If that money is there and he starts a new program, as long as it's being, I guess, allocated properly, I don't think it should matter what it's being used for, as long as it's for that program, whether it be labor, materials,
Mhm.
gas, the car, whatever, as long as it's for that program, I think that'd be good.
I have a few questions. Talked about line item transfers. and this goes back a long time ago, so I'm most likely not remembering correctly. Is there some sort of provision where we can only make a line item transfer once from one fund to another fund, that once that transfer's been made from one?
Additional appropriation is only once.
Okay. So that's something that's going to have to be considered as part of this then,
Yeah,
correct?
I think if you're transferring within the budget.
Then we're okay. Okay, we have no concerns going back to the same line item and doing multiple transfers.
Yeah,
Okay,
as long as it's within the.
okay, all right. Is his budget going to continue to be an expense only budget, or is there talk about there being some changes where he's going to have some revenues directly netted against his expense budget that we approve?
They should not be netted.
That was my feeling, but I wasn't really sure because there was conversations about revenues, so.
Well, that's
Right.
what he
Yeah.
wanted was,
He wanted a separate fund
right,
outside of the general fund that includes revenues and expenses.
Right, I don't think that it's wise to do any kind of netting, so that was my concern.
no,
And is I guess the expectation that before we make these changes, that there's going to be a written policy that we're gonna be able to look at. I think that everything that we've done so far, where we've had, committees or subcommittees, we've reverted back to a written accounting policy. I think that his budget with programming is so unique. That's probably the best way that I could think to
Mhm.
describe it. It's unique. I don't know if there's any other budget that operates kind of the same way.
And
As
it's fluid, too.
his, it's very fluid, as his does. So I just think that with everything that you've kind of talked about and all of these various steps, I think that it's important that we have a written policy on how this is going to work, to not only address the line item transfers, but to address this, miscellaneous fund, because I think that the whole part of this are to establish some parameters, and with that budget being as fluid as it is, I think that having those documented parameters is important. Otherwise, and as many of us know, that it has been, it's been difficult to track his budget over the years. And that's been kind of one of the, things that is talked about most frequently. So with these changes, I think that's gonna, put that to bed, but I think we need to have that documentation to be able to fall back on, because it's a somewhat complicated process, and we might forget over time, okay, yeah, that's right, we have to do this, or there's this, and
well, Tom, we have our homework.
We do.
sorry.
It's up for the better. It covers the concerns that Rob has about this new program budget being used for something else, so the policy will set that.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, I
just
think on
provide
its
more
basis,
guidance.
it makes perfect sense what you guys came up with. I think it's a good move. I just would love to see
And it's always
the
have,
backup.
always have to have a policy in place, because as board members change, you don't have to depend on the member that's been here for 15 years and, remembering all these things. So,
Right.
Not gonna help you too, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're all set, then we'll move on to item 6. Any other business? Okay, we'll move on to item 7, public forum. Does anyone wish to speak? Okay,
One question for the selectmen, that project up on 164, how is that going? Not the sewer, I mean, the building project,
Are you
the
referring
community, whatever that's called.
Heritage River?
Yeah,
Is no longer going to happen.
what?
Is still only a funding issue still, or is it something?
It's a funding issue. And my understanding, and I haven't formally been told yet, but, they have listed the property with a national realtor.
They got all the services.
So, when did this come to? I just,
There have been a number of, stories floating around. And, I hear from Tom Giard and I've heard from Mario. I have not heard directly from, the Heritage River Partners, but I have verified.
did it cost us any money to join this venture?
Eric, no,
No,
No.
no. And when they went to apply for the last, round of SIP funding, they were denied. So they wanted to resubmit for the following round, and they wanted a letter of support from the town. But the letter of support was for the developer. They were partnering with a developer, and that developer is primarily housing. And we weren't comfortable doing that because there was very little commercial in what they wanted to propose. So we declined the letter of support and it didn't go well. So, but we had to do that.
Who did they apply to for the funding?
SIP, it was the community, Eric,
investment fund,
yeah.
through DEC, the state.
So we're kind of back to square one with that particular piece of property.
So the whole property is one piece now? It's still one piece of property
60 acres, I think.
and it's up for sale?
I know that there are, I'm told by Mr. GR that there are a couple of developers interested in that property.
Housing? I'm just,
Some. It's probably, it's gonna be a completely different change of, use, so. But I don't wanna say because we've not had any.
I understand.
confirmation, so.
I was, actually, I am shocked, so I thought this was still going on, so this is all news to me. I just figured I'd ask because I hadn't heard anything.
There has not been a formal word that came from the partners. And that's why, I mean, to put it out there and say it's not happening. And all of this information came to me within the past couple of weeks. Because for a while it was, well, gee, we didn't get the funding, but it's not dead in the water yet. And they kept maintaining that and it's no longer the case.
Because part of the reason to go down there with the money was we were gonna create more tax-free income. But I guess it don't happen,
We're hoping something will happen.
Now that you got the infrastructure going down there, it makes it more viable for somebody
Very
to
much
come in,
so.
instead of them having to wait for the infrastructure to go in. So
There
it's
was
a
a
bonus.
realtor that called me last week, well, 2 weeks ago. And they were very surprised. They had no idea that it was going to be, full infrastructure with water and sewer. So, I mean, their eyes kind of lit up. So I think it's gonna be a positive thing.
Yes, I bet.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on to item 7.1, executive session, discussion of pending and or potential claims and discussion of privileged information regarding audit. Whoever makes this motion to enter into executive session, they can read that particular part and also invite in the finance director, the first selectman, the superintendent, the business agent, and also Board of Ed member Jamie O'Neill Eaton. I had extended the invite to the board chair who was unable to be here. So Jamie is stepping in as her designee.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, Executive session, discussion of pending and or potential claims and discussions of privileged information regarding the audit. Inviting in to this Board of Finance executive session, the superintendent, the business officer, Jamie, and Eric as our finance director and the first select person.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Right?
And the first select person.
Second.